The benefits of barefoot training really revolves around the intrinsic muscles in the foot being able to go through their full range of motion. And when they do that, they get stronger. Back in about 2001, we were talking to one of our Nike coaches, Vin Lananna, and we were asking him, he's been very successful over the years, and asking him, what is it that really sets your teams apart from other teams? He says, well, Toby, we're actually taking your shoes off.
Basically, we decide, okay, we'll go out on the grass, we'll bring athletes in, we'll set up our equipment outside to measure the motion, the joint angles, pressure, forces under the foot, barefoot running on grass, and see, is this different from running in footwear, traditional footwear? So what we actually found when we collected our data was one of the motion variables was the angle that the foot contacted the ground was a more neutral angle. The plantar flexion, when they push off, was the full range that you have, this motion. And the metatarsal phalangeal joint, the ball of your foot, had a full range of motion during push-off when they went over it. The other thing that we saw was the toes actually gripped the ground and extended and spread and splayed apart. So those are very different from anything we've ever seen in shoe condition.
In a traditional shoe, we're masking and we're basically holding on to some of that movement and not allowing that to happen. And if we want to have a muscle to increase in its strength, it needs to actually go through its full range of motion. Here's a solid piece of foam with just some score lines in it, but it's still a solid piece of foam. And the small intrinsic muscles really just cannot move this. They're just not strong enough to do that in the foot. But if I go deeper into this grid line, what we get out of that is a very fluid situation with the same material. It's now very organic, very easy to articulate.
And this is probably about prototype 4. You can actually see this is my writing on it where I'm Xing out sipes that aren't working, that I don't like. I'm talking about putting in what we call the reverse flex groove that would allow the toes to both flex or grip and extend, which is something that's very different about Nike Free from any other type of footwear. The numbers that are on here are actually the depth in millimeters of each of those sipes. That was how precisely we tried to lay out and engineer this.
Once we did that, it really allowed the foot then to be more in control of the shoe instead of the shoe being in control of the foot.
So we have these numbers for barefoot. Let's take the most built-up Nike shoe that existed, which was a 2000 Air Max. That's a 10. Barefoot's a 0. And it seemed like a good way to approach this. It has an access point. So we said we need to create what we'll call 5, something between that 0 and 10. But then once we did that, we kind of realized, well, you know, we know what we're doing and it worked. We could make a 3.0. That would be more barefoot-like, right? So by looking at those variables, we're able to say, yeah, you're a 1, a 3, a 5, a 2, or whatever. And that became what I call the free continuum, or some people call it the free scale.
I really think with Free, it really informs everything that we do now, to the point where every designer is challenged to think about natural motion in every single design that they're going forward on.
The fundamental question is, why does Nike Free work? And I think it works because it allows the foot to be the foot.